You're going to have the Democrat side of that aisle and the progressive left go, we need to ban all assault weapons. We need to ban semi-automatic rifles, handguns, and the whole shebang, which is exactly what you're seeing here. Literally hours after this took place, you have Karine Jean-Pierre up on the podium being as clear as she's ever been about getting rid of your guns. Let's go ahead and hear it.
So we're seeing the heartbreaking news of another shooting of innocent school children, this time in Nashville, Tennessee. The president has been briefed on the situation, and our team is in contact with DOJ and local officials about what is known so far. We want to express the president's appreciation for the first responders and prayers for all the families affected by this shooting. While we don't know yet all the details in this latest tragic shooting, we know that too often our schools and communities are being devastated by gun violence. Schools should be safe spaces for our kids to grow and learn, and for our educators to teach. As you all know, President Biden has taken more action than any president in history on gun safety, from nearly two dozen actions, including the executive order he just signed last month, or this month, pardon me, to the bipartisan Safer Communities Act legislation he signed into law after the tragedies in Uvalde and Buffalo. He also believes it's not enough. We must do more, and he wants Congress to act, because enough is enough. In his State of the Union, the president called on Congress to do something to stop the epidemic of gun violence, tearing families apart, tearing communities apart. How many more children have to be murdered before Republicans in Congress will step up and act to pass the assault?
Folks, there you go. Blaming Republicans. Just wait till she gets it. Oh, she's about to be really clear in her next words here. But it's all Republicans' fault, you see. Even when Democrats had all three branches of government for literally 2 years, when there was school shootings, by the way, even taking place then, it's somehow Republicans' fault. You got to love the fact that they're willing to send billions of dollars to freaking Ukraine and subsidize everybody else's government, other than the fact of actually getting armed guards at schools. Spending billions at schools, they're willing to send that money to everybody else's country other than ours. We literally spend hundreds of billions of dollars going around the world and just giving them all our money when we could sit there and finance this whole thing ourselves and protect our children. But they don't want to do it. They want to sit there and grandstand and blame Republicans, blame all these other people, rather than blaming the evil people that want to sit there and do the very evil thing of shooting up our schools. You banning assault weapons, whatever the hell that means, you banning semi-automatic rifles, semi-automatic handguns, which is virtually everything, isn't going to fix the problem. But let's let her continue here.
Weapons ban.
Let's back it up 5 seconds.
Step up and act to pass the assault weapons ban. To close loopholes in our background check system, or to require the safe storage of guns. We need to do something. Once again, the president calls on Congress to do something before another child is senselessly killed in a preventable act of gun violence. Again, we need to do something. I also wanted to say a few.
So she gets questioned on this by 3 reporters all in the front row. Folks, she literally kicked it off by going, well, we don't have all the evidence yet, but let's go ahead and just spew all this stuff. Well, you need more background checks, right? You need to get rid of the loopholes, safely have your guns in a safe, or whatever nonsense she's spewing without having any evidence of what she's stating here. And by the way, she doesn't even have all the facts. She literally talks about 6 children dying, 3 children dying, which is horrific, but it wasn't 6 children. So let's see this first question here, the first lineup, and then we'll roll into the other ones.
On Nashville, pointed to last year's bipartisan reforms, as well as alluded to the executive actions, I think, of just a few weeks ago. And then you also point it's not a panacea, but is there any disappointment from the administration that these efforts haven't had more of effect on lessening the scourge of terrible violence?
Well, I don't have the data in front of me on what the president's executive actions has been able to do. Clearly, those are actions that he was able to do on the federal level. But the president has been very clear. We need to take more action. We actually need to ban assault weapons. We need.
This is the clearest she's ever been. They want to ban assault weapons, and she's going to refer to the assault weapons ban of what, like the 80s or something like that. It was about 30 years ago or so. It couldn't have been the 80s because it happened under the 90s because it happened under the Clinton administration, where, you know, they're going to sit there and ban handguns. They're being clear. They want to chisel away your Second Amendment rights. Oh, well, you get to use these guns, or you can use these guns before a certain date and time. No. That's not how it works. I have the right to bear arms. They don't understand this. And what they're trying to do is chisel away at those rights. They're going to use a crisis or a terrible tragedy to play on the emotions of Americans because nobody wants to see children die. Nobody likes these shootings. Nobody's for these shootings, but they're going to play upon people's emotions because emotions get votes to sit there and try to push this through. This is what they're doing. This is their agenda. That's why I've said it might not happen in 50 years. It might not happen in 100 years. It could happen when I'm long and gone, but we might not have that Second Amendment right. And once that right is gone, you don't have any other right to sit there and actually protect yourself for and advance those other rights that were just taken away, or at least get them back. As Ronald Reagan said, it only takes a generation for all this stuff to disappear.
To take more action so that our children are safe in schools, so that our communities are not torn apart. And we've been very clear about that. The president's going to continue to be consistent. He mentioned that at the State of the Union when he had an opportunity to just not speak in front of Congress, but also speak in front of the American people. We have to do more. The president has done almost as much as he can from the federal level to show how important this is to him.
Just not give money to the actual schools to actually hire armed police to sit there and take care of your children, or a security guard or multiple security guards that can actually take care of your children, or building up school safety. But again, as I repeated myself, you're going to send billions and billions of dollars to other countries rather than taking care of your ish here. And clearly you have ish to be taken care of. And they're not willing to do it. And what are they willing to do? Blame Republicans for all this. It's always our fault. Somehow it is always our fault. It's so mind-blowing.
And this is something that he has been working on since he was senator. Right, 30 years ago, when the first assault ban weapons passed, it was because of the work, partially of then Senator Biden. So again, he's going to continue to call on Congress to act. This is, you know, we can't keep seeing what we saw today. Right now, we're hearing 6 kids, 6
Wrong.
elementary kids, dead.
3 kids and 3 adults.
And so.
So she literally doesn't have like any clue what's going on. It wasn't 6 kids, but she's going to sit there and push it. Thank God he stepped in and corrected her, because there's going to be people running around with that whole story now that she mentioned it on live air. But it was 3 children, which is horrific, and 3 adults, which is also horrific. So here's another question, another follow-up about this whole shooting, and let's hear her response with this.
I mean, you spoke about the call from the president and the White House for Congress to act on gun violence, but here we are, another elementary school shooting. What does the White House say to American people who are feeling hopeless right now, that this, in shock that this is happening once again?
We say that, yes, we agree. This is unacceptable. What we're seeing today, what we're seeing in schools and communities across this country is unacceptable. Our children should be able to go to school feeling safe, feeling protected. People should be able to go to grocery stores feeling safe. And what we saw today is devastating, is heartbreaking for any American, any parent across the country, or any American. And so that's why this president has been very clear from day one he is going to continue to fight for those communities. That's why he did a historic amount of executive orders.
Isn't that amazing that they're going to fight for those communities by chiseling away at your right to protect yourself? So when you have somebody that wants to break the law, of which they're going to do anyways, whether that's them getting the firearm illegally, and heck, even still breaking the law by conducting either a school shooting or a mass shooting, whatever it may be, that you're going to be in that present place of where that mass shooting is taking place and not being able to protect yourself because they remove the right for you to be able to protect yourself? Let that one sink in. You want somebody to feel safe? You want somebody to feel secure? How about having them strapped and ready to go anytime some asshole sits there and does something evil and shoots up a freaking school, killing children? It pisses me off, man. You start messing with kids, I don't like that. Again, I'm a school teacher. I don't want kids to be messed with. I'm there to protect them. Not only can I not protect myself because I live in freaking leftist, socialist California, but I also can't protect your children so they can go home safely. It's so frustrating. I'm so tired of the Democrat Party sitting there trying to chisel away at my Second Amendment rights. Always, always, always. And it's not just the Second Amendment. There's other rights as well they're trying to chisel away at. And they're going to play on our emotions to do this crap. Everybody's pissed off. Nobody likes what happened. Everybody agrees it was evil, but it's going to happen regardless. And you know what, by the way, rather than letting this reporter finish up here, let me take you to Phil Whittingley of CNN actually questioning her on this idea of, hey, like, is this really going to solve anything? You sitting there and pushing whatever legislation will be. Will this actually fix what's taking place? And just listen to her response. Just listen how this nutcase answers this question.
Just following up on the idea of hopelessness, which I think all parents feel in a pretty visceral manner on days like today, does the president believe that there is an actual legislative solution to this, or a solution that the government can bring, given kind of culturally where the U.S. is on this issue and political divides, all of these things put together? Is there an actual solution here?
Well, the president, as you've heard him say many times before, he's an optimist and he's a fighter. And you have seen that from this president over the last 2 years. And he's an optimist, and rightfully so. You saw him sign a bipartisan piece of legislation that we hadn't seen on gun violence, to deal with gun violence in 30 years. That's because of this leadership of this president and the work that he's put in. So we have to be optimistic, and we have to fight at the same time.
What the hell is she talking about? The question was about if legislation were to pass, is this basically going to resolve the issue? Is this going to actually fix anything? Well, he's a fighter. Oh, goody. Great freaking response, Karine. That's a great, fantastic response. It's not going to solve a damn thing because the Democrats don't understand that people are evil. If they want to commit violence, they will do so. They've already tried to remove guns in the UK, and what are they having? An uptick in knives and crimes. Shib, go ahead and write it in the live chat. We know you're there, brother. You've talked about it before. Shib is over there. He's one of our fellow patriots. Evil people are going to do evil things regardless of whatever you do. You can't sit there and remove people's rights and chisel away at law-abiding citizens who are abiding by the law because you have other knuckleheads, other idiots not willing to do it. They're going to kill people if they want to kill people. And how they're going to do that is going to depend. It's not going to stop somebody from going in with a knife into a school and doing something. It's not going to stop somebody with a machete, which we've seen across the globe. People are going to do evil things. They'll even take their vehicle. But whenever we talk about that, if people mowing people over with a vehicle, you're not going to ban all vehicles, are you, Karine? Who the hell knows? Maybe that's the next step. Maybe that's why they're pushing for these electric vehicles so that they can shut everything down. Who the hell knows?
But we also have to call out what is unacceptable, and what we continue to see in these communities is unacceptable. And, I know, Phil, you're a dad. I'm a parent as well. And what we're seeing, when you see those types of stories coming out of Nashville, it is devastating. It is devastating. And elementary schools should not be happening. And so you're going to hear directly from this president later today.
And the president, I'm sure, is going to spew his nonsense once again. We need to get rid of assault weapons. Assault weapon bans. What is that, Mr. President? Probably doesn't lay it out. But we know what it is, folks. They want to remove your handguns, any semi-automatic weapon, which is virtually everything, because automatic weapons are already banned, but the leftists don't seem to understand that ish. So what's also crazy is that's the Democrat and progressive left side of the aisle. Then you're going to have Republicans and conservatives come out. I'm sure you're going to hear this on the Daily Wire as well. And rightfully so, by the way, is that this person was transgender. Okay, this whole push to make it seem like transgender is something that's normal when it's not. It's asinine. And now you have this person that clearly isn't altogether up here because they think that they could be a man when in fact they're a biological woman. You can't switch. It's not possible. It's not going to happen. You could try to lop off your genitals all you want. You are still going to be a man or a woman depending on what you biologically are. You can't just make believe and switch things. So now this person, the nuts so that they're nuts just in fact of the fact they shot up a school. Transgender correlation of not going through the head correctly up here, whatever the hell they were thinking. There's a conversation to be had about all of that as well, but we can't because then we're transphobes or whatever the hell it may be. So you're going to see the right-hand side of the aisle just go hard and attack transgender, attack the progressive left and Democrat Party, and rightfully so, because they're pushing this ideology that sits there and destroys communities, like Karine Jean-Pierre said, destroys schools and destroys children, destroys families. It doesn't destroy people on just death and mass shootings like we've seen here, but also destroys people on an individual level because there's an uptick in suicides of transgender people as well.
I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.